and this is for Live 401. We'll be talking about Carver in art, and I'll be sharing my 3 pieces with you that I saw at Art Pies that I'm going to relate to George Washington Carver. The reason I chose this piece for my first selection is the message behind it of the artist. I have a quote here from him. It says, "The message that living plants have a place in our constructed world. They infuse beauty, connect us to nature, and provide the very oxygen that we breathe. My hope in developing Breathe has been to challenge and inspire each viewer to think differently about the constructed world and about how the world might look and feel if integrated with nature." He also challenges us as people in the community looking at the art to think about what our lives would look like if we choose to stay connected with nature. And this kind of brings me back to Carver, obviously because he was pretty passionate about agriculture, but from different readings and things in the book about how he stayed connected with nature and what that did for him on his path of education and his religious views. And that's something else that the artist of this piece kind of touches on, that says an easier path to having a sense of our creator and our awareness of our true selves. So in our book, George Washington Carver, in his own words, on page 127, here's a quote from Carver of February 24th, 1930. "More and more as we come closer and closer in touch with nature and its teachings, are we able to see the divine and therefore fitted to interpret correctly the various languages spoken by all forms of nature around us." So the first piece I want to talk about is called Breathe. It's by Dave Mackenzie, and you can vote for it by typing in 57037 on your iPhone or online. As you can see here, it is a giant wall with flowers and plants that spells out breathe, and at night they kind of like light up. I just connect this piece with Carver because I think it would be something today that he would look at and really appreciate, that there are still people who connect with nature and with agriculture and see the importance of it in everyday life. The second art piece that I am relating to Carver is called Thank You for Random Access Memories by Matt Toll, and you can vote for it. 56663 is the number. This one is at Founders, and oh man, I'm so bad at focusing. The actual art piece is hanging on the wall and is a bunch of different pieces of circuits and software and different technologies surrounded by a wooden frame. And the artist talks about the significance of the relationship of science, but still connected to the wood on the outside being like the man-made wooden frame. And I think that is interesting and relates to Carver because he was a man of science and did believe in a lot of science things, but still connected that to who we are as humans and in human nature. And just a little bit of information about the piece. It's comprised entirely out of circuit boards and other repurposed electronics. And it mimics a view of an airplane window looking out on a city, and has kind of a man-made appearance on the outside, like I said before, with the wooden frame. And I related that to our book, Science and Symbol, or Scientist and Symbol, on page 225. A company employee, Bob Berry, says about Carver, "If you live beside a mountain and see it every day, it does not seem high to you, but someone who does not see it often knows that it is high." And the last piece that I have chose to relate to Carver is called View Detroit, and it is by a couple of different people. It is by Kevin Walby, Erica Kimber, and Bree Ann Norton. You can vote to the number 57232. You can kind of see the pictures of it. Sorry. It is pretty large in scale, and from the inside lenses, like where your face would go in the glasses, you see 2 different lenses, and they represent Detroit and all the positive things, And then from the outside, it just looks like sunglasses and says View Detroit underneath. Some information about the artist that they want you to know is that it's supposed to be a view of all the great things about the city of Detroit, past and present, through a pair of sunglasses. It's symbolic of the great attributes the city has to offer, with many images of Detroit on one side, pictorially telling a story of the early days, and then on the other of the current resurgence of Detroit. And it's kind of cool. The glasses are facing the direction of where Detroit would be located from Grand Rapids, so kind of like southeast. I think that this relates to Carver because of his history and how he grew up and his background. I'm taking another class right now where we go to Detroit a few times this semester and see the culture there and the people and what they've had to go through and deal with, and seeing a building that used to be running and used to be a working economic place for people to be, and seeing it abandoned now kind of reminds me of history and way back in the day of the struggles that people went through, and that Carver probably can relate to, maybe not in a specific car industry way, but in a way that he was still a part of that culture and a part of that time era. But I think that these glasses kind of show the progress that people are making and how far a culture of people really has come, and then what they're doing now for the community. And I think that Carver would like to see that if he were still here, and see how the community is being rebuilt. Also in Detroit now, they have over 1,600 community gardens, and that is something super awesome. And they're teaching agricultural practices to children in schools through after-school programs, and just helping the community get back in touch with nature through Detroit and their community right now. So I just think that's awesome. And I also related that to our book, Carver, A Life in Poems. On page 48, the poem is called Clay, and it says, "Beauty is the vocation of the earth," by William Bryant Logan. "God's breath on a compound of silica, alumina, and various oxides, primarily iron, gave Adam life. There is a primal, almost mystical connection between humankind and clay. From the footed, bellied first receptacles to frescoed Renaissance cathedral walls. To Carver's eye, the muddy creek banks say, here, to be dug up, strained, and painted on, is loveliness the poorest can afford. Azures, ochres, scrapes of discarded board are landscapes. Cabins, undistinguished brown bloom, like slaves freed to struggle toward self-worth. Beauty is a commonplace, as cheap as dirt." So, to me, that poem just kind of talks about how rebirth and reconstruction and beauty can come from something as simple as the dirt that we walk on. And that's exactly what Detroit is going through right now. Hope that you guys get to go to Art Prize if you haven't, and seen some of these things that I've seen. So, yeah, have a good rest of your week.